What's up, everybody? It is a Blue Drake, and today this is going to be a little bit more of a personal video. But I've thought enough about this topic, and I've done enough research that I feel pretty confident in my position. So today I'm going to be doubling down, and I'm going to be explaining to you why. First off, we're going to be talking about Project IL. And if you don't know what Project IL is, it is a project that is currently in development by a visual effects artist based out of Russia. He's done a whole bunch of projects in the past. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of him. His name is Oleg Vdovenko, and he is from Russia. And recently, after doing a whole bunch of other things from kind of goofy animation series to even selling some of his work on Gumroad or some of the comic books that he's created. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but he's actually the same guy who is behind The Forest God, and this was trending on Reddit and Imgur a while ago. Recently, he has announced that he is working on a video game. Now, there's a lot of people who are really excited about this, but like with anything that gets this much hype, there's also a lot of people who are skeptical. Some people are just outright furious, primarily because they know that Oleg is a visual effects artist and they believe that most of this gameplay footage is pre-rendered footage. And they're not even necessarily wrong. I think a lot of us are fully aware that Oleg is a visual effects artist, and a lot of the stuff that he does is actually pre-rendered. But the point I want to make in this video, and this is really important because I've taken this into consideration, but the thing that I want to talk about is even taking that into consideration, even understanding that this is a developer who has more of a background in visual effects and character development than he does in game development, I think, and this is the important thing of this video, I think that this game has more of a chance to succeed than most games that we cover on this channel or even on other channels that are also in an early state of development. Even games that have playable demos. I think that this actually has more of a chance of being finished and coming out than most games that are also in an early state of development that even have playable demos. And we're going to be discussing why. So, first off, let's talk about the project. Let's talk about Oleg's background. Now, I think that it's actually kind of a disservice to call Oleg a visual effects artist because I think this is somebody that transcends the idea of being a visual effects artist. This is not just a visual effects artist. This is somebody who is a full-blown character and environment developer. All of the stuff that you see, he has created from scratch. And I'm not just talking about the characters. We're also talking about the environments. We're talking about all of the grotesque, not just the characters, but also the animations for the characters. He does all of the animation work. He does all of the texturing, all of the environmental work. He does all. There is a lot more than just creating visual effects or just creating particle effects that Oleg has the capacity to do and is putting together, either himself or with a small team. It doesn't matter. The point is that he is able to output an end product that has all of this original intellectual property in a computer-generated environment. Animations, environment, characters. And the reason this is important is not only is he making this, but he's also developing this in Unreal Engine 4. So as you can see, this is work that he's done. This is UE4 that he's working in. Now, whether it's optimized in UE4, whether it's running in real time or not real time, all of this, all of that is honestly, for a project like this, is kind of superfluous. And the reason for that is for a game like Project IL. Keep in mind, this is a single-player game. as far as I know, I mean, it's not going to have multiplayer. This is not a game that's advertising, oh, we're going to have 1,000 AI. This is not a project that is advertising all of the extreme cutting edge game features that you are used to seeing in ambitious games. I guess to sum this up, this ain't no Star Citizen. Like, it's a single player game with a very small environment and with a focus on horror elements with a small number of non-player characters at a time. Now, first off, right out of the gate, that is a very achievable concept. That is a very achievable concept. Even taking stuff like the ragdolls and other things like that into consideration, that is a very achievable concept. And the fact that this is developed in Unreal Engine 4, let me kind of put it this way. One of the closest things that I think you could compare what he's doing to an actual game development idea would be the Euphoria ragdoll system. So this is kind of like an active ragdoll system where you have characters that move in procedural ways but are influenced by their environment. Now, obviously, Euphoria, this is the kind of stuff that was used in Grand Theft Auto 5. I'm not necessarily going to say that he has access to this, but the thing is since he's developing this project in Unreal Engine 4, he has access to the entire Unreal Engine 4 community, and there is a lot of projects that are actually recreating the Euphoria system with animation blending and all of that stuff in Unreal Engine 4. One of those projects is called the Advanced Locomotion System. So here, let's go ahead, we'll take a look at this. This is stuff that already exists that I'm also sure that he, as a person who's interested in developing an Unreal Engine 4 game, is interested. I mean, it's primarily a third-person controller, but you go over here, you look at all this stuff, you have procedurally generated or even blended animation-driven characters. This is something that if you're creating a small game and you've got a couple of characters in a room, and you want them to move in a way that is that kind of looks procedurally generated, that is something that you can pull off in Unreal Engine 4 using existing technology pretty easily. And this is the part where it kind of where this video kind of gets important, because this is the stuff that I really want to point out. All of the current work that he has currently done in Unreal Engine 4, you look at this one scene, you can see those characters. He has done all of the animation work for this. Either him or whoever else is working on this project, whatever. They have somebody who knows how to animate all of these characters. They have somebody that also understands how to create characters from scratch. And there's a lot of people that are saying, oh man, but what about the optimization? Man, honestly, the optimization is not the thing that is going to be the most difficult part of turning this into a game. There are a lot of people that are incredibly talented, that are just technical artists, that I guarantee you he can go out and hire. I mean, he can go to Upwork or he can go anywhere and take the existing work that he has and has somebody that's already experienced in Unreal Engine 4 and come in and optimize it for gameplay. This is the kind of stuff, if you were to take a Pookie, you have no idea who Pookie is, but I'm going to use him as a comparison. If you were to take this guy, take all of his art, and throw it at Pookie and Miha and say, here's $20,000, $10,000, whatever, negotiate a price, go through, optimize all of our assets so they're game ready, they can do it. That's a pretty straightforward task. I mean, it's not a straightforward task to do. I mean, it takes a lot of hard work to actually do that, but there is a lot of talented people that are readily available that you can go and hire in order to optimize your assets and get them game ready. That is not something that you are going to have difficulty finding in the Unreal Engine 4 community. And I'm assuming that he also, as a technical artist, has a lot of experience with developing characters and developing assets in an engine that is optimized. I mean, he obviously knows how to create characters. He obviously knows how to create models. him working with somebody that is going to be more adept at actually getting assets game ready, that is going to be a much smoother workflow since he already has an understanding of the game developer environment than somebody who's just like an ideas guy, you know. And to be fair, I've seen a lot of games where there is just somebody who's an ideas guy and they go out and they hire people and they make a game. And that actually works out. It doesn't work out all the time, but it still works out, which means if you were going to take this guy who obviously already has a significant amount of experience developing, maybe not necessarily games, but developing 3D models, and you have him have a team of people that are going to be converting this into a game-ready environment, that's going to be a much smoother transition than most other. This guy is already somebody who is obviously talented and obviously already has a lot of significant experience in his field. So that's the first point that I want to make. The first thing is that for a project like Project Ill, something that is a single-player game, something that is not really pushing the boundaries on the number of NPCs that you can have, or really pushing the boundaries in any other way. I mean, I guess you could maybe argue physics, but even the physics system that he's advertising, I do not see the physics in the way that it's looking to be implemented into the game. I do not see that as something that is going to be very difficult to implement. I think that if you still have ragdolls and you have dismemberment, you can make really, really interesting dismemberment. It doesn't mean that you have to have it where every single character has like pieces of skin that can be lacerated, and I don't think he's going for that. I don't think that's something that's really been advertised either. This is not a game that is like People Playground the game. I don't think that's it. It is a game that has a very Resident Evil style aesthetic, and it also has really gruesome dismemberment. That is very achievable. That is incredibly achievable. And ironically, for a game like this, I think the hardest part to accomplish, the hardest part of this project, of a project like this, would be all of the things that are already done. So the characters, the environment, even the weapons, all of that stuff. Actually turning this into a game, I think, is going to be less work than the work that he has already finished as the designer. And I'm not even talking about it, because there are people out there who are just game designers and they don't actually do any 3D modeling or anything like that. They just do design, and there's a place for those people. But this guy is beyond that. This is not just a... I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, but it's just a concept. It's just a concept. For a game like this, this is honestly beyond a concept. He has animations. Not only does he have animations, but he is also the person that animated them. So you've got an animator for your game team already. You've got an environment artist, which is also him. You've got somebody that is already a character artist. And assuming he made that shotgun, I mean, even if that shotgun was sourced from somewhere, I don't think that would be a big deal. But let's say on the off chance that he actually also made that, you got your weapon artist too. Man, you've got 60% of your game dev team with this one guy alone. Seriously. Like, that's the thing that I think everybody is missing. This man, by himself, is already fulfilling the 6 out of 10 roles that you would need to make this, to have a game development team. And I think that is one of the reasons that is kind of important. And I think that there's a lot of other games out there. Like, so for instance, let's take into consideration some of the bigger scams that everybody is really worried about. I think the other one was called, what was it called? Raw? It was like a GTA 5 clone. GTA 5 Raw clone. I don't know. Hold up. Let me look for this. I'm not entirely... Let's see. Scam GTA 5 game remake. What was it? What was it called? Oh, well, I don't remember it. Somebody's going to have to tell me in the chat, because I don't. I know that there was a number of other people that had actually covered this, but one of the biggest scams, one of the most popular scams in the scam verse of creating game development projects that end up, going nowhere are GTA 5 clones. And there's been a bunch of them. Or in general, honestly, role-playing games. So any game that is trying to remake Arma, any game that is trying to remake any game that is trying to remake, let's see, I swear it was called Raw. GTA 5, any game that is trying to create these giant, massive worlds. Here it is. This is it. This is the game that, yeah, here we go. 1 year ago. Raw. Yeah, I was right. Why didn't it come up before? I typed in Raw. Whatever. Search optimization, not great. So let's take a look at this. This is a trailer that came out for a project that everybody was really up in arms about because it was, obviously they weren't going to be able to accomplish what they were setting out to accomplish. Wow. Really low resolution. Don't know why. Can we, serious right now? Come on, there we go. All right, so this is a game that was advertising, be whatever you want, drive cars, have this massive open world, 4 kilometers with whatever. And on top of that, a lot of these assets are very likely, I'm pretty sure this is also proven, a lot of these assets are sourced assets, marketplace assets. So there's a good chance they did not actually create the vast majority of this stuff themselves. Like maybe the levels or some of the stuff they kind of like put together, but this is the epitome of a trailer that has nothing to show for it. Like this is a full cinematic thing. It doesn't exist. It's not a game that exists. I understand that. I understand how people could maybe want to make the comparison between this and something like Raw. But the difference here is this is a huge idea. This is a huge idea that will take millions upon millions of dollars to create. This is unprecedented. This is not something that has been done. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm thinking, I can't think of a single indie team that has pulled this off. The only people that have pulled off a concept that is this large are teams like Rockstar and teams like Bohemia Interactive. Nobody else. Nobody else has made anything like this. Now, compare that to something like the concept for ill. This is a concept that is very achievable. And not only is it achievable, but all of these assets that have been created are obviously unique to this game. This is something that Oleg, the creator, has a lot of experience doing. He creates environments. He creates characters. He creates worlds, universes. That's the big allure of his work. And if he is actually, even if there's more people contributing to this than just him, which I'm not even sure. I'm fairly confident that it's actually one person that's done all of this. But let's go out on a limb and say that there's more than one person. It doesn't matter. This one screenshot is representative of 60% of what you need in order to make a game like this final. There's no vehicles in this game. There's no big, grand, massive ideas. This is not a concept that is just so out there. It's just not. It's really not. This is an absurdly achievable goal. This game, the concept for this game is like absurdly achievable. And the only thing that would make a game like this, that a game like this would need, like the most difficult thing to do, is creating all of the stuff that Oleg has already shown that he has created. It's already done, and he's still making more. And that's it. That's really it. So I'm going to say that's why I'm excited about this game. Now, I've done videos in the past. This is nothing new. Being in the middle of like a controversial game dev situation where there's a project, this is nothing new. And I very rarely back a project like this as hard as I do. And I want to go over like the history of projects that I've backed. One of the biggest projects that I backed that I think you could argue was embarrassing was No Man's Sky. I still remember when No Man's Sky first came out, and I was like, I see what they're doing. I feel like this is going to be an amazing game. And the funny thing is when it came out, everybody was like, see, you're wrong. And I was like, no, this doesn't make any sense. I was like, the way they've built this, they've built it where it's expandable. Now, don't get me wrong, like, they should have released in early access, and they should not have said that there was more things done in the first version of the game than what they said. But the irony is that I kind of expected them to do what they ultimately ended up doing, and they went on and they achieved every single thing that they said. As far as, I mean, I don't know, I can't think of anything, but the game has multiplayer. You can go wherever you want. There's whole stories. There's all sorts, like there's trading now. There's everything. There's base building. Like they have gone on, as far as I know, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe I am. They've gone on to do everything they said they were going to do and more. And they kind of dealt with their launch really wrong. But that's what that was. It wasn't because they weren't capable of doing it. It's just because they're bad at marketing themselves and they're bad at community management. I mean, who knows? Maybe Project Ill could have the same problem. I feel like it kind of already does. I mean, he could make it more clear that these are like pre-renders or maybe if he was more networked, he could have like gotten the funding to turn this into a full game before he actually launched. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe he could have played this a different way. But at the end of the day, I think that the way he's playing it right now, he's going to be able to make it into a game. Another game that I backed that also got a lot of backlash was Hell Let Loose. I still remember when Hell Let Loose was first announced and everybody was like, oh, this is impossible. You guys think that somebody's going to be able to do what Squad did in like a matter of months? And it's like, yeah, I've met the developers. I've talked to them. I know how their project is put together. I believe this is going to be the best World War II shooter on the market. And now, a year later, it's the best World War II shooter on the market. Like this is, and now I'm honestly, I'm gonna be back in Project Ill. Now here's the thing. Let me tell you the pitfalls. I'm not gonna say that this project has a 100% guaranteed chance of succeeding. I think it has a very high likelihood. There is a couple of ways that you could mess this up, but I feel like the only ways you could mess this up is if you're stupid. Like really, I think the only way that Oleg could really drop the ball on this is if Oleg just turns out to make some really dumb decisions. I guess the first thing that could happen is he raises a bunch of money and he blows it on a programming team that ultimately doesn't know what they're doing. So let's say Oleg finds somebody and they're like, oh, I want to be your programmer, pay me extra amount of money, and then he blows his entire budget on somebody that has no idea what they're doing. That's possible. But honestly, I think what he's asking to do is so easy to do. It's so achievable that I don't think that's going to happen, because what's going to happen is he's going to have a lot of people coming to him saying, hey, I can do this. He's probably going to do some test runs for them, and the people who are not able to pull off this pretty simple concept in Unreal Engine 4 are just going to be very obviously not capable of doing it from the very beginning, and then he's just going to find somebody else. So unless he just like gives somebody a whole bunch of advance money for no dang reason, like that, maybe that could potentially ruin the project. Now, another thing that could potentially ruin this is if he just does not care about optimization at all and he neglects, having a team that knows how to take his assets and turn them into game-ready assets that actually run very well in the game. I also feel like this is unlikely, because this is somebody who, I mean, this is not a guy that doesn't have an understanding of 3D art. Like this is a 3D artist. This is a guy that already understands how to build 3D models. He already has a really good understanding of what is a heavy asset and what is a well-optimized asset. So I think that him getting together a team that understands how to take his work and translate that into a player environment, I feel like that's going to be something that's pretty easy to do. But that's basically all you need. The only two things that you need for this game is a programmer that has good experience with Unreal Engine 4, and a team that's able to, assuming he's not able to do it himself. I feel like he might even be able to do it himself, but let's say he can't for some reason, is finding a team that can take his assets and optimize them for gameplay. And that's it. That's all you need. And I know, and there's a lot of people out there that have said, "Oh, Blue Drake, you don't know anything about game development." And I feel like those are the people that have just come to this channel the past couple, because I know that Project Ill is like a very exciting project, and there's like a whole bunch of new people that are coming through, and they're like, "Oh, Blue Drake, you don't know anything about game development," because they don't realize. So just to keep in mind, one of the things that I do is I do own a game development studio, and we have released multiple games. Now, I'm not going to say that it's the most successful and most popular game development studio in the world, but we have released Unreal Engine 4 games. And it's not even necessarily that I understand what goes into developing a game, because I don't think that's what I really need to understand. In fact, if anything, I think what I understand best and what I do most is the more important part of telling you whether or not this game is going to succeed. One of the things that I understand really, really well isn't necessarily, the actual game development process, which again, I have a lot of experience working with people on the actual game development process. But one of the bigger things that I have experience in is understanding the types of people that are currently available for hire in the game development community and in the Unreal Engine 4 community specifically. I know the types of people that are available. I know how much they cost. I know what they do, and I know what they're capable of, and I know how many of them are. And I'm telling you right now, if this dude took his work and he went into the Unreal Slackers forum and posted a couple of screenshots and said, "Hey, yo, come with me and I'll pay you X amount or give you X percentage and you make a game with," dude, he would have 50 programmers in a heartbeat. I'm telling you, like the amount of people that are capable of taking a game like this to market and getting it done, the amount of people that are out there and are hungry. I mean, I've had people hitting me up asking to work on this game. They're like, "Hey, do you know that guy? Because I can make that game, and I'm a programmer, and I would love." And, these are people that I know are capable of doing it because they've worked for us before, and they've done all sorts of other stuff. I'm telling you, I think this game is going to happen. I really think that this is a project that has a significant amount of potential. And unlike other games, I know that other people have like cold feet with projects like Raw and stuff like that. Like, not only is Raw an idea that is just completely unachievable for a small indie team, but also like it's an idea that's super generic, and like there's not very many programmers that really want to touch it because it's one of those ideas where it's like, all right, it's just GTA 5 already does it. It's not unique. It's not really going to further my career. It's not something, and it's absurdly hard to do. This is different. This is unique intellectual property. This is something where the person who's creating this is already filling the vast majority of roles needed in order to create a video game. And if all you have to do is take the Unreal Engine and take a lot of the existing infrastructure that already exists and just put a couple of pieces together and bring on somebody who's experienced with Unreal Engine 4 that could take this and turn it into a reality in a pretty small amount of time, I don't know, man. I feel pretty confident. So that's it. I mean, I've been ranting for like 30 minutes now. Hey, it's a good time for a Total Rant video. I haven't done a Total Rant video in a long time. So now I finally have. And that's my opinion on this. So look, there's a lot of people that are probably going to come out with videos, as always, that are going to be like, "Oh, this game's a scam, blah, blah, it's pre-rendered." I get it. I understand. I understand that there's a lot of footage that he's putting out that's like conceptual and it's not a full-blown game. And I'm really going to double down. Taking that into consideration, I still think that this game has a higher chance of being made than the vast majority of other games that I cover that are also in an early state of development. Game demo or no. And I think I'm sticking to that. I've thought about it. And whatever my reputation is, whatever my word is to you, my word could be worth nothing to you. Whatever my reputation is, my reputation could be nothing. But I feel like my professional opinion, even if my professional opinion means nothing, is that this game, I feel like unless he does something really dumb and messes this up, this game will be made. Even the stuff like the limbs hanging off, like when you shoot the limb and it hangs off, like that is not impossible to do. Now I think some people are like, oh, but every single artery is like, you don't have to make it so every single artery is like terrible. And he's not advertising this either. Again, like I'm saying, this is not People Playground the game. This is more just like a really gruesome Resident Evil game. And I feel like you could easily take a ragdoll system and make it really cool, where ligaments like hang off. Like that is not impossible to do. At all. So yeah. What I think is gonna, if the path to success for this project is this: he gets a lot of hype. Obviously, because he has a lot of hype, either investors, publishers, or game developers, or all three, are going to recognize that this intellectual property has a significant amount of potential to make a lot of money. And then people are going to come to him and they're going to recognize, hey, you've already got 60% of this game done, or 60% of this concept done. We have the programmers, we have that remaining 40% to take this and turn it into a reality. And then they're going to do that. And they're going to go forward and they're going to release the game. And even stuff, I think a lot of people are like, oh, what about the fluidic physics and like the guy turning? I mean, so first of all, keep in mind, look at this. So this guy breaking all apart and everything and all the fluidic physics and stuff like that. Keep in mind, this is obviously a cutscene. Like this is the kind of thing where you have a boss fight and then the boss goes through the transformation. I don't think this is the kind of stuff that's actually going to be dynamic. It's not like you're going to come in here and you're going to have, this is just Dead Space stuff. And that's the weird thing. Like seriously, let's look at Dead Space. Dead Space 3 trailer, I guess. I don't know why everybody is acting like this is unprecedented. Like it's not. This is not even remotely unprecedented. I don't know why my internet's so bad right now, but I don't know. Anyways, I'm not going to show you the footage because it's going to be like the raw video and it's going to take forever, and then it's going to. But Dead Space does this stuff. This is just Dead Space. Like it's very similar to Dead Space. And all of the tech that went into creating Dead Space, and Dead Space came out like what, a decade ago? More than a decade ago? And Dead Space had also a really cool dismemberment system. Like this is very achievable. This concept is very achievable. And I know that I'd also made some comparisons to like Astartes. Some people were like, oh, how dare you compare this to Astartes? I feel like I'm going to have to double down on that as well. I know that Astartes wasn't really comparing itself to a game, but honestly, if the Astartes developer made a game, I'm pretty sure everybody would be excited about that. And not only that, all of his work would translate into a video game very well. And it would, I mean, honestly, maybe Astartes should make a game. I don't know. But the thing is that this is the same kind of workflow. Like compared to Astartes, this is somebody that has a lot of the same skill sets, and these skill sets translate into game development, which I think is why he's doing this. I mean, he's recognized that, and that's why he's making this. So yeah, so look, I'm going to continue following this game. I believe in this game a lot. I don't just believe into it because it's like blind faith. I don't. I've analyzed the situation. I've been following this developer in particular for a while now. And I feel very confident that his idea, his vision here, can and will be made. And if he already has all of this stuff done, it will be made with relative ease. And unless he makes some real stupid decision and he messes something up massively, which I hope he doesn't, he owns all of this intellectual property. I don't think there's anybody. I mean, it's his game. It's not like there's anybody that's going to just like leave and mess him up or something like that, or like depart the project and then, oh my gosh, it's over. Like he owns all this stuff, I'm assuming. He's made all this, which means that even from a legal standpoint and from a technical standpoint, this game has more chance of being made than most games. Like compared to Raw or any of that stuff. It's not like I'm going to be like, oh, look, Raw has all of the assets done, so of course it's going to be a game. No. That's because Raw has like a much grander, unachievable vision than this does. This does not have a grand, unachievable vision at all, even remotely. This is a insanely achievable vision, insanely achievable. And I think a lot of the stuff that gives it, I'm just repeating myself now, whatever. Okay, but that's it. So if anybody asks, I mean, I'm the guy that's backing this project. Then there's going to be a lot of other people that are skeptical and are probably going to bash this. Man, I'm not. I think, and honestly, I actually think it's kind of okay for him to accept money on the Patreon as well. I know he's made it a Patreon for this project. Honestly, I think a lot of people are aware that he is a VFX artist and they want to support his work. I mean, hell, I donate it to the Patreon. Like and I'm aware that it's not a full-blown game yet. But I feel like I would still pay it anyways. Like, this is still high-value stuff. In fact, honestly, I feel like people would still donate to the Patreon even if he just made this like a video series. Like, imagine if he made this like a first-person based movie. I don't know. I feel like there wouldn't be as many people interested in that as the game, obviously. But there'd still be a lot of people like, this is high-quality work. This is high-quality work. The stuff he does is great. So yeah. Okay, that's it. See you guys later. I'm back in this project, man. I feel like it's gonna happen for these reasons, and but we'll see. We'll see. You know, maybe I'll be right, maybe I'll be wrong. I feel like I'm gonna be right though. I mean, Oleg, you're gonna make this game, unless you do something really dumb. You are in a really strong position right now, dude. You are in a insanely strong position. I have seen a lot of games become made. I have followed the development process for a lot of projects, and you are in an insanely strong position. But I have a feeling you already know that. Like, you wouldn't have done this if you didn't have the exact same. Like, I see what you're doing, and I think it's going to work. And I think you also think it's going to work because that's why you're doing it. So yeah. All right, that's it. See you guys in the next one. Take care. Love you. Blue Drake. Subscribe or don't. Bye.